How would we have dealt with Epstein? Look, you didn't mess with children, period. No matter who you are, you could have been the worst guy in the world. You could have been Roy DeMeo. You don't mess with kids, period. Were there guys that would have said, oh, he's a money guy, a lot of money? They might have picked him up one day and said, listen, there were guys that were involved with gay clubs. There were guys that were involved with strip clubs. But these were older girls. They weren't young kids. So had we known that Jeffrey Epstein was abusing young kids, I can tell you this. Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed on this end, my friends. And as always, I give all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving to our God for that. Quick announcement. For all of my Christian brothers and sisters, I have a new channel that I'm going to be starting. It's Michael Franzese Ministry Channel. It's going to be strictly ministry and mostly lives and not so many videos. I'll be starting that in the next week. Anybody, I invite anybody and everybody. You don't have to be Christian. I'm not a preacher. It's practical application of the Bible, which I think everybody could learn from. I don't force religion down your throat. I don't impose my faith, and I don't try to turn you into a Christian. I merely want to share biblical principles with you all and give you some of my experiences, and I think it could be a benefit to Christians and non-Christians alike. So look for it. I'll be announcing it. We'll be starting it soon. And I think, like I said, I can't wait to get into it. It's something that I can't do on this channel, but I'm going to do on a channel strictly devoted to that. So I get a lot of questions. I probably got 50 questions, and the questions were, Michael, what would the mob have done with Jeffrey Epstein? Okay, this could be a very short video. Could be one sentence. They would have killed him. And there's no question that he would not have lasted among most people in that life. Now, what do I mean by that? First of all, let me say this. I left the life. I don't glorify the life. Some people accuse me of living off the life. Well, I have a right to live off the life because I was part of it, grew up in it, number one, and spent 20 active years in it, number two, and was in prison for it, number three. So I have a lot of reasons to be able to talk about my former life because it was my life. So if you want to say I'm living off of it, fine. But I don't glorify it in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, I do a lot of other things too, other than talk about this life, but we don't have to get into that. But you got to understand this. We did a lot of things that weren't good. There's no question about it. And I don't glorify the life. And I take responsibility for being a part of it. But there were some good things that came out of it, some good principles. Not everything is all bad unless you're satanic. You know, there's some good in everything and everyone. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find it in certain people or certain things, but if we'll search hard enough, we'll find some good in something. And there is good in the Mafia life. There is good. There were good people in that life. Again, age-old questions. Why do good people do bad things? It doesn't necessarily mean that they are evil people. There are a lot of good people that do bad things at times. And there's reasons that they do it. Not excuses. And I'm not saying that they're justified, but there could be reasons. Maybe because of the way they grew up. Maybe they were put in a situation. Whatever. Doesn't necessarily mean they have a bad heart and they're evil. And you can look at it and be honest. You may know some good people that have done bad things. Maybe they felt bad about it afterwards, whatever. But anybody if that were the case, then everybody would be bad because there is nobody on the face of the earth that is sinless, that has never done anything wrong. We know that. There were a lot of good things about that life. What were some of the good things? Some of the principles. At this point, I got to tell you, people, my blackberry wine, it's in such high demand. Blackberry, strawberry, my two favorites out of all of our fruit wines. So when you see me enjoying a glass of Franzese wine, it's normally my blackberry. I don't have a glass of wine every single day. I would say 2-3 times a week. Maybe a little bit more depending upon where I am, but I just love the blackberry wine, our fruit wines, I didn't even know we were going to have them when we first got into this company, but our vineyards in Armenia, they created this beautiful wine. They had us taste it and they say, hey, we got to sell it here in America. It's going to be a big seller. And really it has been. It's been unbelievable. So, if you like fruit wines and if you don't like fruit wines, try it again. I guarantee that you will. but they're delicious. They really are. So, when I came into the life, we were told straight out, you don't ever, ever violate another man's wife, daughter, sister, mother, niece, whatever. And that goes for anybody, not only a maid guy. It was frowned upon if you fooled around with another man's wife. It wasn't something that was held in high regard. You may not die if the guy wasn't a maid guy, but it was frowned upon by a lot of people. Did some people do it? Of course. But it wasn't something that was accepted in that life. That's a good principle, I believe. Very good principle. You didn't mess with children. You didn't mess with children, period. No matter who you are, you could have been the worst guy in the world. You could have been Roy DeMeo. We use him because everybody knows him. Okay, you don't mess with kids, period. And that was a principle that everybody had because we all had kids. Every one of us, we had children. And we cared about our kids for the most part. Now, you can get individual situations where guys just didn't take care of their kids properly, like everyday life. Okay, we're saying that could have happened. You don't mess with kids. You don't do it. Okay? And to my knowledge, I don't know of anybody in that life that was giving drugs to kids. To my knowledge. Again, don't beat me up. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I don't know. But to my knowledge, I can't point to anybody and say, this guy was giving drugs to young people. I can't say that. Again, we weren't big drug dealers during my era in that life. Don't beat me up for that because everybody said, Michael, they go to Vito Genovese. That wasn't my era, and Vito was a drug dealer, no question about it. But during my time, we were told we would die if we got involved with drugs. And remember, the whole Castellano thing against Gotti was that his crew was dealing drugs. That was it. That's why Gotti acted first, because Castellano was going to kill him because of it and all of his crew. Fact. How would we have dealt with Epstein? Look, if we knew that Jeffrey Epstein was abusing young girls sexually, we would have killed him. Across the board. I can tell you this. My father would have killed him. Joe Colombo would have killed him. Persico, as much as I have a bad feeling right now with Junior for reasons that I'm going to get into, I keep promising you this video. I'm just doing my stuff, and it's going to come out, and it's not going to be nice. Not going to be nice with respect to him. He would have killed him. No question. Gotti would have killed him. No question. And many, many other guys. We didn't tolerate that kind of behavior. I will say this. Let me be honest across the board. There were guys that were involved with gay clubs. There were guys that were involved with strip clubs. But these were older girls. They weren't young kids. And we didn't tolerate, I know this for a fact, anybody abusing the women that were working for us. I'm not saying that one of us might not have abused. I don't know. But the patrons, no, they didn't get away with it. There was a certain amount of respect for women and a big, big amount of respect for young people. No doubt about it. So had we known that Jeffrey Epstein was abusing young kids, I can tell you this. Most of the guys in that life would have killed him. I would have acted that way. It's despicable. It's disgusting behavior. I'm a father of 5 daughters and granddaughters and a wife. The thought of it gets me sick to my stomach. I wouldn't have associated in any way with Jeffrey Epstein. And those people that associated with him, if they knew what he was doing, that's a real mark on them. No doubt. What were you doing with this guy? Period. Just the association stinks. But you were so elite that you thought it would never come out. That's what happened here. Because you wouldn't want to associate with somebody like that, knowing what he was doing, unless you thought it would never come out, because you are who you are, and you thought you had it all under control until now. Why would you associate with a guy like that? Scum of the earth. So yeah, we would have killed him. No doubt about it. Would have buried him. Might have even tortured the bastard. Excuse me, I don't curse. Well, bastard's really not a curse. You know what it means. So that's the short answer. Now let me get into a little bit longer answer on that. Again, always trying to be fair and equal on this. Were there guys that would have said, oh, there's a money guy, a lot of money. They might have picked him up one day and said, listen, you're now under our control. We're going to shake you down for X amount of dollars, every penny that you got, or this is what you're going to give us every week without fail, or we're going to kill you. It's up to you. Were there guys that would have done that? Absolutely. Because with some guys, it's all about the money in that life. No doubt. So it could have cut both ways. But either way, it wasn't going to work out good for Epstein. And if they would have suspected that Epstein was going to rat on them, they would have killed him anyway back then. No question. No doubt. You don't get away with that kind of conduct. Not in the mob life. I'm sorry. There were some principles that we had. And let me tell you something. Nobody would have missed Epstein. Nobody. And I got to tell you this too. They might have killed this Ghislaine Maxwell also. Because she was the one that was recruiting these young girls. I can tell you this. If a young girl came to me out of the blue during my time in that life, or my father, or Joe Colombo, or John Gotti, or anybody, and said, listen, this guy is abusing me. He abused me. This is what he did to me. And we never even heard of Jeffrey Epstein. I can tell you that the greater percentage of the guys that I just mentioned, they would have followed it up. And Epstein would have been in trouble. Even if we didn't know him and we didn't know the girl. If she was credible, and we found it to be true, we would have went after Epstein regardless. You know, I bring it back to the son of Sam, David Berkowitz. You know who he is. You know, it was a nightmare to people that he killed. Remember, he saw these people on Lover's Lane or two people sitting in a car, a guy, and he went and shot him. He said it was his dog that was Satan that was telling him to do it. You know, the Son of Sam movie about it, the whole bit. The police actually came to us and said, if you can find this guy, help us. And we were all for it. We didn't want them going around killing innocent people. You know, we didn't do that in that life. We didn't do it. I'm not saying it didn't happen at times. But we didn't go around, give me evidence of innocent people that got killed in that life. Evidence. If it happened, it was an accident. And there's no excuse, don't get me wrong. Maybe they got involved in the crossfire. Maybe it was mistaken identity. But innocent people, we didn't go after them. We killed our own. And at times we roughed up people that maybe the guys shook them down. I'm not talking about me. About guys that may have shaken somebody down for money, they didn't pay, whatever. Maybe a gambling debt, got out of hand, didn't pay, whatever, got a beating. But they were somewhat involved in some way. Not justifying it. I'm explaining, you know, the extent of which we would have cast our web. But a guy like Epstein, gone. No doubt about it. Despicable conduct. You know, might have shaken him down first and then killed him. Who knows? But we didn't stand for any stuff like that. And, you know, look, I got to go back to what's going on here. You know, again, to me and my associates in that life that I know, that I knew, the guys that I were close with, my dad, guys that I knew intimately well, they would all take the same position that I'm taking right now. Despicable. Look, we had families. You know, we loved our families. Now you might say, come on, Mike, a lot of you guys were cheating on your wife. Yes, no question. Back then it happened. Guys had mistresses on the side. Didn't mean they didn't love their families. Oh, Michael, how can you say that? I know. It doesn't sound right. I'm not justifying it. Whatever. It's the wrong thing to do. We have to acknowledge that. No question about it. But we loved our families for the most part. Everybody is different in every walk of life, and it's no different in that life. But we did have certain principles, and we were ready to cross the line that legitimate people wouldn't do. Donald Trump called the police. It's on record. Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. He called the police in 2006 and reported Epstein and said he should be investigated. He should be locked up. It's a fact. That's what he did. That's what legitimate people do. We wouldn't do that. We would have killed him. How more bluntly do you want me to put it? You know, so all of you that are asking that question, you know, if you want me to go further than that, you know, I've told the story many times about two guys that were part of my life. They were made guys with me in the Colombo family. They killed their own father because he was caught messing around with another made guy's woman. I don't remember if it was a wife, a daughter. This was 30 some odd years ago, more than that, 40 some odd years ago. No, yeah, 40 some odd years ago, you know, when this came to light. And I knew the guy well. His two brothers. There is a certain code that you kept in that life, no matter what. And that was certainly one of them. I think that was the most serious violation. And remember this also. You know, when I started walking away from that life, and when I talked to the government, and again, let me make this clear, let me make it clear. No, I didn't put anybody in prison, regardless of what you're hearing from all the warriors out there and the 302s that they're showing. The bottom line is this, and it's a fact, and I will back it up. I don't just talk out of school, and I'm not just trying to defend myself for any other reason, because at this point, I don't really care. I'm 75 years old. You think some of this chatter bothers me from people that just want to make noise? It doesn't. But the bottom line truth is, yes, I spoke to the government because I wanted them to understand I am through with this life. The 18 arrests, the 7 indictments, the 5 trials, the millions of dollars you got from me, the 8 years in prison, the restitution. Yeah, I've had enough. And you got this RICO law that's turning everybody into informants. I'm a major target. I don't have a shot. You're going to get me, and I'm going to go down for, like Giuliani said, 100 years. So yeah, I'm done. Yeah, so what do you want to know from me? Now, did I give them anything that could put people in jail? No. Did I speak in front of a Senate hearing? Yeah. What happens in front of a Senate hearing? Nothing. Zero. Just look what's going on now with all these committee hearings that they have. Have you seen anybody get indicted? No. It's a dog and pony show for the most part. I talked to them in, I don't know, 90 or whatever year it was about boxing. Did anybody go to jail? No. Did anybody get charged? No. Fact. Understand this. I still had a certain principle about that life. Still had a certain principle about that life. And I maintain it even today. There was some good things about it. There were good things about that life. A lot of things that I learned in that life, I've been able to use successfully in this life, my legitimate world. I learned not to judge people so quickly. That's why I've taken this position with Epstein, that unless I have evidence, I'm not calling anybody a pedophile. Nobody. Not Bill Clinton, not nobody, until I have evidence. Because I've learned, you don't judge people so harshly, because one day you're going to be judged and people are going to remember how you judge them. Remember that. So I wait. I'm always the last one to accuse somebody unless I have the facts and it's right in front of me and that person needs to be held accountable. Otherwise, I'm not doing that. I learned it from that life. I learned to speak at the appropriate times, not to just throw words out there just for the sake of being heard. Silence is golden. Very important. How you use this rhetoric and this mouth that you have. Today, come on. People talk and talk and talk. They don't even care that they're on video and they contradict themselves 10 times. They say one thing today, 3 years ago, they said the total opposite yesterday. It's crazy what's happening now. They don't even care anymore. There's no dignity, no integrity when it comes to certain people in high positions. Again, the Epstein matter, cut and dry. He would have died over the abuse that he had with these young women. And yes, there were some people that would have taken a different position, but it would have been frowned upon. Hey, this guy's got a lot of money. We know what he's doing. We're going to shake him down for everything that he's got, and then we'll kill him later. That position could have been taken too. But one way or the other, he's going. He's going to go. Because it's despicable behavior. And we just didn't agree with it. So I hope I answered that question. And you know, I don't know what else is going to come out about this Epstein matter. I got to tell you this. I'm going to say it again, people. Epstein, in my experienced opinion and perspective, did not commit suicide. It would have been very difficult, almost impossible for him to commit suicide in the way they said he committed suicide, by hanging. I mean, if he would have had poison or I don't know. But he couldn't have done it that way in that cell. There's no question in my mind. The other question, why did the FBI, whose offices are right across the street from the jail that he allegedly committed suicide in, why did it take them 7 hours to get over to the jail? He was he was the most important inmate in that jail. Why did they take it so nonchalantly? Oh, Epstein committed suicide. Oh, no problem. Seriously? You would have thought they would have been there in 2 minutes and just roped off the whole place. Hey, let me investigate. No. Oh, he committed suicide. Oh, okay. Wrap him up. There's some people that believe that he's still alive, that he might have been taken to Israel or wherever the hell they say. I don't know. I don't think so. I think they killed him. I absolutely believe that they killed him. I absolutely believe, 100%, that he might have put the word out and said, hey, you get me out of this, guys. A lot of heads are going to fall. I got a lot of information. And look, by the way, this list is coming down now. Look at who's involved. These are all important, powerful people. Look at them. The heads of corporations, people in government, people of substance, every one of them that have been mentioned in association with this guy. So that's how big a web he had. Who knows who else? I mean, the former prime minister of Israel was involved with him. Elon Musk. I'm not saying they didn't, I don't know what they did wrong, but these were the people that he was involved with. So we can stretch and say maybe they did something that they don't want to be seen public. I think it's fair to assume that. We don't have the evidence of it, but it's fair to assume it. Why did this guy have such powerful connections? Who the hell was he? A money manager? He got his money from this guy Wexner. Why did Wexner give him this money? A lot of money. He was like a nobody at that time. Why did he do it? Why did Wexner hang with him? I believe he had something on him. Let me tell you something, people. My father taught me something when I was young. He said, Michael, 3 things you got to be careful of in life. Wine, women, and gambling. Those were his 3 things. He wasn't really into the drug thing. He never assumed that I would be involved with drugs. But wine, he said, be careful. You don't ever want to be drunk. You don't ever want to be in a position where you lose your senses and you don't know what's going on around you. It's dangerous in our life. It's not a good look. He told me that. I never drank to excess. Never. Drank wine, grew up on wine, but never to excess. Because I never wanted to be outside of my senses when I was in public or anywhere else. So I didn't develop a taste for it, and I didn't try. And let me tell you something, while we're talking drugs, I've never taken a drug in my life other than a prescription or an aspirin. Why? Because I saw the danger. I mean, you know the history of my family with drugs. And I'm afraid that I may like it and get addicted to it. And I don't even want to touch it. I've never taken any kind of illicit drug in my life. I've never smoked pot. Never. One time, let me be honest, many years ago, when I was a kid, 19 years old, 18 years old, I was with a girl. We were shacking up. And I took half a Quaalude she gave to me. She said, Michael, this is going to be exciting. She said, but you're a straight guy. I'm going to give you half a Quaalude. That was it. I think I was 19. And yeah, it did have an effect on me. I'm going to be honest with you. Wasn't a bad one back then. But anyway, that was a long, long time ago. Never touched another drug or anything like it since. So wine, drugs, women can lead you down the wrong path, guys. Sex. We know that. Epstein was all about sex and what he can provide to people. And there are a lot of guys out there that are just, come on. I don't want to, you know what it is. Very, very powerful aphrodisiac, gets you to do crazy things. And Epstein used that to the nth degree. And he had a lot of dirt on people. It's obvious. So wine, women in Epstein's case, and gambling. My father was very against gambling. And so am I, because I saw how it ruined people's lives. I was responsible. I had gambling operations. Guys were into us for a lot of money. Some guys went broke. That's the street. Wine. Let's throw drugs in there too. Women and gambling. You get those 3 vices away from you. Don't fall prey to any one of them. Women might be the most powerful. Who knows? To some people it is. Got to be careful. So getting back to the subject, what would we have done with Epstein? We would have killed him, no doubt. We would have saw that behavior. We would have killed him. Again, to be clear, there might be some other guys. It's a wealthy guy. We're going to shake him down for everything that he's got. And then we'll kill him. Or we'll keep it going. Who knows? but that would have been his fate. No two ways about it. Nobody's going to befriend him. Nobody's going to take him around. Nobody's going to do that. We're going to kill him or we're going to shake him down. That's the mob way when it comes to somebody as despicable as Jeffrey Epstein. And that's it. I mean, no doubt about it. Hopefully I answered your questions as directly as I possibly can. And people, it's ugly. I'm not saying that again. And don't say I'm glorifying the life. You ask me a question, I'm responding to you. And I think if you ask Sammy Gravano or any of the guys that were real guys on YouTube, they'll tell you the same thing. He wouldn't have lasted with us. And if any one of our guys would have shaken him down, well, then shame on them. Because he doesn't deserve to be shook down, because that was garbage money that he had there. That was tainted money. Not that we didn't have taint money, but I don't look at gas tax money the same as money being shaken down from a guy that's abusing women, young girls. You know, that's just my feeling on it. You may say, come on, Michael, bad money is bad money. Whatever. We all have our opinions with that. But anyway, hope I answered your question. And I don't know how much more we're going to have to hear about this Epstein thing. I think that we should want to hear more until the end. And I've said this, people, and I want to make it very clear. This is bipartisan. This is something that everybody should want. We should want those files unredacted to be released, and anybody and everybody that's engaged in any of this illicit behavior should be held accountable. The shame of it all is that people are being protected. There are higher powers and higher forces at work here that have their thumb on maybe our president and other people involved in this. Because remember, this wasn't an American operation. This was worldwide. So there's nobody in other places that are releasing this to the degree either. So everybody is in some way protecting somebody here, and it's disgusting. But it's the way of the world. You know, he who controls the purse strings controls the power. It's the way of the world, people. You know, it's very unfortunate. But look, there's evil in this world, and that's evil. And it's just something that we have to do our best to, you know, to try to get through it. That's why I said in one of my videos, you know, call your congressman. You know, and again, the media, where the hell are you? Where the hell are you? Why are people not protesting? Why are they not standing in front of the Department of Justice? Why are they not standing in front of the FBI building? Why are they not standing outside of the White House and saying, we demand this? And maybe by doing that, maybe things will loosen up to the point where we can see what's going on there. Again, because there are other forces at work here. But the media, they're not talking about this. All the major news outlets, they're not really talking about it. They're not. They mention it here and there. But ICE, every single day. Every single day. You don't think this is more significant than ICE? Young girls being abused? Young boys being abused by people in power that are not being held accountable? I do. That's my feeling. Why are we not hearing about it? Where are the protests? The people that are being paid to protest ICE, why are the same people not paying them to protest the Epstein files? Because powerful people are involved. Because the people that own these media outlets are in touch with those powerful people, and maybe some of them even have exposure with Epstein. Look at the web that he had. So wide. It is what it is. We never got the truth about the Kennedy files, about the Kennedy assassination, I should say. I don't know. We just got to keep pushing, and hopefully that dam will break. That's all I could say. And those people that deserve to be held accountable should be held accountable and will be. But at least some of the dominoes are falling. People are apologizing. People are resigning. Okay, so there's some accountability. It's not enough, because if there's criminal behavior here, then those people should be held accountable. These same phonies and hypocrites that say nobody is above the law are the very ones that hold themselves above the law. It's obvious. So let's keep pushing and let's see what happens. And maybe a few more dominoes will fall, and at least there'll be some more, you know, and we'll finally see somebody being held accountable here. That's it for today, my friends. How do I always leave you? Same way. Be safe. Please be safe. Some of the stuff, I saw a video the other day. A woman was walking into a department store with her young child. He would look like he was about 3 or 4 years old, and some guy swiped the guy, grabbed the little boy out of her hands and started running away. Fortunately, the father of this child he had parked the car, and he came over and he got this guy. He killed the guy on the spot. Good for him. But could you imagine how blatant an attack? Grabbed the little kid right out of the mother's hands. What the hell is going on here? Another trans shooting in Canada by a transsexual. Another transsexual guy killed his wife and kids out of his mind and then shot himself. What the hell is going on here? For something, believe me when I say this, it was peaceful walking around in Dubai, knowing that these people are going to be caught and held accountable. Nobody wants to do that there. Accountability. People must be held accountable for their behavior. That's the only time you're going to see things change. Consequences and accountability. That's it. Nothing else is going to change until that becomes the rule. The real rule of law. Held to accountability. So be safe, please. Be healthy. What could I tell you, people? You know, I think there's a healthy trend. Gen Z, Gen Z, they're not drinking that much. They're looking for good food and they're reading their Bible. Do you know that? That's Gen Z. Wow. I mean it. What a great encouraging sign this is from our young people. Keep it up. Keep it up, man. Be an example. I'm so thrilled to hear it. Young men are buying Bibles in record numbers. Gen Z. They're not drinking alcohol. They're not doing drugs. They're not even smoking marijuana. And they're looking at good foods. I'm getting the statistics. This is great. I might do a whole video on it. Good for these young people. It's about time. They're acting out in the right way. Be safe, be healthy. God bless each and every one of you, my friends, your family, your friends, your neighborhoods, your loved ones, your communities. And yes, God bless America. We need God in America. Trust me on that. See you next time. Take care.